Hey guys, this is Miss Arlequin, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the very important body paragraphs that support your essay thesis. So what makes an effective body paragraph? How do we structure them? How do we develop our ideas? Alright, so we've talked numerous times about the structure of an essay, how the structure of an essay really can match the shape and flow of an hourglass, and we are now focusing on the middle part of our hourglass, the body paragraphs. Just like the middle part of an hourglass, which is very narrow, the body paragraphs are also very narrow because they are the most specific part of the essay. This is where we're going to find all of our text evidence, all of our arguments, all of our points that we're really trying to get across to the reader. All right, so effective body paragraphs have to do several things. First, they have to prove your thesis. If every body paragraph is not working to prove your thesis, then really what is it doing in your essay? It doesn't belong there. They should also stay on one topic. You don't want to have too many topics going on in a body paragraph. It's not a good way to organize your writing. It can be very confusing to your reader. You also want to make sure that your body paragraphs all have a clear topic sentence. Just like the thesis statement tells your reader exactly what the whole essay is going to be about, your topic sentence is telling your reader what that body paragraph is going to be about. It's also helpful to you as the writer because that topic sentence is like your roadmap. That's what you're going to be proving in that particular paragraph, and it can help you stay focused and organized. Of course, the body paragraph needs to have text evidence, so you want to give examples from the story that'll help prove your thesis, or examples from whatever text you're writing about. So it can be a combination of the two types of text evidence. It can be an indirect quote, which is just a summary or paraphrase of the relevant text details, or it can be the direct quotes, quotes from the story where you're lifting the lines word for word and putting quotation marks around them. The best body paragraphs and the best type of writing is going to have a combo of these two things, not one over the other. Body paragraphs also need to elaborate on the examples so that they can be specific and fully explain them. Now you have to also remember that a lot of times the reader of your essay might not have read the original text. You can't just lift a line out of the text without any kind of context and expect them to know what's going on. You also can't necessarily assume that the text evidence you're including is automatically, without any explanation, going to clearly prove your thesis. Sometimes you need that elaboration to make clear how that text evidence is connecting to your argument. So you want to finally explain how the examples prove your point and possibly make some real-world connections to help explain the examples. And here you'll see two ways that I've kind of started off sentences like that using our previous mentor text from last year, The Chaser. So you might start a sentence to explain like this. Like Alan and Diana, sometimes couples will. Sometimes couples will go to desperate measures to keep the one that they love. Alan is going to a desperate measure by buying a love potion to force Diana to love him. Or it could be like this. If Alan hadn't tried to force Diana into falling in love with him then, and we know that this is one of the best ways to analyze, it is the what-if strategy. What if this hadn't happened? What if the author hadn't used that word, hadn't used that figurative language? What if the character hadn't done that? How would that change the text? And then use that to compare with what actually happened. And this will give you some really deep analysis and deep thought. All right, so now another thing to think about when we think about body paragraphs is their relationship to short responses. Short responses are basically body paragraphs that are just kind of by themselves. So you can treat your body paragraphs the same way you would treat writing a short response. And for our short responses, always try to use the acronym RACE. It's a really easy way to remember to include all the elements that a body paragraph or a short response paragraph needs. We start by restating and answering the question, which is our topic sentence. And we can always give ourselves questions for our body paragraphs. Basically, we can take our thesis statement, we can break them down into some smaller questions, and each body paragraph could be our guiding question for that paragraph. And then that becomes our topic sentence. You then have your evidence, your citing evidence. And this is, again, your examples and your text evidence. And then here you have your explanation, elaboration, and extension sentences. Now for your text evidence, we mentioned earlier how you want to have a combination of indirect and direct quotes. Now we talked about this last year, that when you are including text evidence, we really want to weave our evidence together to embed it into the paragraph. We don't just want to have a direct quote. We want to have sentences where the indirect quote, you paraphrasing part of the story, giving some context, like who said it, when did they say it, what's happening in that part of the story. All of that indirect quote context leads into a direct quote. We're going to talk more about weaving as we get into our essay and start doing some revision after our first draft, but you do want to think about this as you're writing your first draft, especially students who were in my class last year, because we should already kind of be experts on this. All right, and finally, we want to always remember that transition words are our best friends. Transition words should go throughout your essay. They should be used to connect ideas. There are different types of transition words to help you with the specific points you're making. If you're trying to continue a point, if you're trying to give an example or evidence, if you want to show a contrast between two ideas, and then at the end when you want to conclude. And there are many, many other categories of transition words. Please refer to the handout you received from me. And also the Google Drive student resource folder has lots and lots of transition word lists. All right, so let's look at a sample body paragraph. Here we have a sample from one of our 6th grade essays about The Giver. Last year we wrote about whether or not Jonas's community is a utopia or a dystopia. And here we have a very strong example of an effective body paragraph. It has all the elements that we just talked about in the previous slides. First of all, the citizens have no choices. For example, when Jonas talks more about the decisions made by the elders, he states how, quote, like the matching of spouses and the naming and placement of new children, the assignments were scrupulously thought through by the committee of elders, end quote, citation, page 49. In this community, all of the choices, matching of spouses, names, new children, and jobs, are all chosen by the elders of the community. This shows that the citizens don't get to choose and decide what spouse they want, what name for their future child, what child they actually want, and can't even choose their job. If the community was a utopia, what if strategy? Then they should have let the citizens choose. By letting them choose, it can establish a happier world with what they want. All right, so now it's time to take what you've learned and apply it to this essay. I want you to use your planning chart to help you write your body paragraphs. And if you get stuck, you can refer to the sentence frame shared with you in the Codex unit folder. But please remember that sentence frames are like putting training wheels on your bike. Of course, everybody might need training wheels when they're first learning to ride a bike, and there's nothing wrong with using them. However, once you try or become a good rider on your own, you want those training wheels to go away. So we shouldn't look to use the training wheels unless we absolutely have to, and that's what the sentence frames are. They are writing training wheels.